Coming up this morning on Inside the Game, Nashville books their spot in the U.S. Open Cup final. The Week 4 United Soccer Coaches Rankings shake up the college soccer landscape, and we welcome Green Bay's head coach John O'Reilly, fresh off his first full season at the helm. That and more coming up right now.
Welcome to Inside the Game on the National Soccer Network. Now, here are your hosts, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wangler.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome back to Inside the Game here on this Wednesday, September the 17th. I'm Jonathan Turner. That is Ryan Glinsky. Nate Wangler still out west here this morning in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I'm sorry. We're gonna keep doing this.
He just lobbed us one, and he gave us an inch with it, and we're gonna take a mile with this joke. I mean. He was really happy to go out west, and I don't think he's going to live it down for a while.
No, we're gonna.
Also, though, we do got to give a shout out. The Whitecaps did win the Midwest World Series minor league for single A baseball. Don't know the name of it, but congrats to Nate, your team, the Whitecaps. I was watching a TikTok on it. They actually had a historic season record-wise in all of single A baseball. So shout out to the Whitecaps. Congrats on your win, Nate. Hope to have you back here soon.
That we do. We anticipate him returning here.
Season record-wise. On your win, Nate. Hope
we do. We anticipate long road trip back here to.
He's going east. He's going east to Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Anyways, it is a fantastic day here in Michigan. It's going to be 83 today, 86 tomorrow.
Damn.
I don't quite understand why. First of all, that was a weird sound, by the way. I'm not sure they even came from, but I don't understand this weather. I keep saying,
no.
I keep saying that they have to. I think someone has to say we're going to push the seasons back a month.
Especially here in Michigan, it's
or forward a month. Maybe this makes forward, right? Because if we start the fall, we typically start the fall in September, right? We just gotta move it to October.
Yeah, it's weird. You get a brief little tease of what the season should be, like a week or so, and then all of a sudden for the next 2 weeks you get back to. So right now we're in second summer. That's what we're in. That's what it's called. We're in second summer. We just had our first phase of fall. And then in the next week or so, we'll go back to traditional fall, and then we'll go into December, and we'll have a little bit of snow, and then all of a sudden it'll turn into second fall, and then we'll have winter. So it just kind of doesn't make sense, if I'm being completely honest. Honestly, a meteorologist's job is the safest job in the world because you can be wrong 100% of the time and still have a job. Doesn't make sense.
And there's still a chance.
And
that it might rain or it might snow.
Yeah.
So, I got to say there's a chance. There's a chance something's going to happen today. Just be prepared. And so you're absolutely right. We've got a great show lined up for you here this morning. Hey, we'll talk Nashville and how they defeated Philadelphia last night in the U.S. Open Cup, making their way to a final here coming up later this year. And then we'll dive into the college rankings, right? The top 25 teams were again released yesterday nationwide for both men's and women's. And we'll get into that as well. But before we do any of that, we will be joined by the Green Bay Phoenix's men's soccer head coach in John O'Reilly. So he'll join us here on the other side of the break. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back here with episode number 160 of Inside the Game.
Flint City Bucks are Michigan's top soccer franchise with 4 national championships, 9 conference titles, and 15 Great Lakes Division titles. They have produced 107 players for Major League Soccer, and they focus on attracting top talent and shaping soccer's future. Michigan Bucks Academy joins NLS Next new competition tier starting in September of 2025. This offers elevated levels of play and flexibility for high school participation. The Academy will provide premier development, high-performance training, and exposure to scouts through regional tournaments and MLS Next events. For more information on tryouts, training programs, and key updates as we prepare for our first season in MLS Next new tier, visit MichiganBucksAcademy.com.
Welcome back into Inside the Game here on this Wednesday morning. That's Ryan Glinsky. I'm Jonathan Turner, and we're excited to have yet another guest here, Division I men's soccer. This time we're joined by John O'Reilly. The Green Bay Phoenix calls the Horizon League their home, and he is in his second season at the helm here as the head coach. And John, welcome in here to Inside the Game.
Thank you guys for having me.
Well, no, absolutely. First off, you're in your second season off of a remarkable one last year, 11-7-2 overall, making your way all the way to a semifinal where ultimately you fell to Oakland University, have a chance for a rematch coming up here on October the 4th. We'll get into that in a little bit. But talk about that first season. And I know that you weren't first year at the program. You came in as an assistant back in 2015. But you know, it's one of those things where you start taking over this new job. There's some learning curves, and I'm curious how that impacted you in year one, even with the success.
Yeah, I mean, I think like when I get asked about this, one of the things I have to like reflect on too is this: I took over a Horizon League Championship 2023 NCAA tournament team, so like I'm very lucky. Right? Most times your first head coaching job, you're taking over something something happened, something broken, there has been success. So, it allowed me to kind of hit the ground running as far as obviously I was with the team. So in 2023, and then when I took over in February-ish, 2024, I was able to kind of put my mark on the program, but I didn't have to like completely rebuild. I didn't have to start from the ground up or anything like that. So, as far as my progression as a head coach, I was very lucky as far as where I was able to start.
Yeah, it's a great point, and we talk about this a lot. I've had a chance to talk with coaches over the years who have taken over programs and maybe had only 2 or 3 coaches in their history, right? And so we talk about rebuilding and reloading and all that kind of stuff. But this is you think about the program as a whole, already on a good path, right? You look back a number of years, had some success here in the last 4 or 5 years. And so now it's not so much about maybe reinventing the wheel, but maybe just evolving it, right? And that's probably a big challenge as a new head coach, right? Because you're like, hey, I want to put my mark on this program, but at the same time, it's already got a really good path. So how do I do that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that was probably like, it's funny, right? Usually your first head coaching job, your like biggest headache is like, who's on the team? Where are my recruits? Like, where do I even go? Like stuff like that. So I didn't have those issues, but the issues were like, I'd been here for a long time. We'd had success with the previous head coach, who's a good friend of mine, and we're still having success in Northeastern. But like, I did want to make it my own. I have a little different view than him on certain things, on playing style and things like that. So it was kind of like the questions that I was asking myself in my head is like, do I just keep doing what we were doing, which was a little kind of, and if you look at our results this year, it's very defensive minded, but like very defensive minded, kind of risk averse, or do we evolve and start playing a little bit more and building out of the back and doing all these things that I'm seeing at the high youth levels and the professional level. And that was probably the big question that I had to ask myself is like, am I crazy? Like I could just do exactly what we did last year, probably finish like second or third in the Horizon League, have a chance to win it, or am I gonna kind of play my style? And I think that was something that was probably like the more difficult dilemma in my head as I took over.
And obviously, based on success last year and historic, we always talk about preseason. Preseason rankings are based on historical data, right? We always
Yeah,
say it's like what you did last
people
year.
People were congratulating me for getting picked first in the Rising. I'm like, okay, like sure, yes.
Well, I mean,
I like that, though.
It is an honor on some level, right?
Well,
Because the coaches as a whole, right, are coming together and saying, "Hey, this is who we think's going to win this thing or has the best chance." Obviously, Oakland has won it a number of times in the last couple of years, and so you look at that, and they're right there, kind of in the mix again this season. We're only one game into the Horizon League, so it's not like we're going to sit here and go, "Holy cow!" But we are going to look at the standings here right now. They'll put them up on our screen. And I think it's always important to talk about it, right? But here they are, right? One game in, this is what this is going to look like right now.
Yeah. It'll look like this for probably 4 or 5 weeks, where it's like, everybody's got a shot. It's the beauty of the Horizon League. It's like it's usually one or two teams pull away, and then that middle group, it's like, I think last year was down to the last day. Like, I think one team might have been out last year on the last day, so it's fun. It makes it fun.
You had mentioned you're a defensive-minded coach. Obviously, you come from an All-American, right? You were an NCSAA first-team All-American, right, at Lehigh University, Patriot League Defensive Player of the Year, Team MVP, two-time All-Region honor room, right? So he's got obviously some success as a player, and obviously you bring that success in.
Shout out.
We talked about this in kind of like our pre-show conversation about how right now your team, right, has had 3 shutouts, only allowing 3 goals here so far in the early going of this season. I think you said last year you might have only had a couple shutouts. So something working here this season.
My assistant literally said to me, "I think we have more shutouts this year than last year." Like I didn't look. I'm not like a big historical data guy. I mean, I'm big into Y Scout and all that data, but I'm not like comparing every game to last year and kind of seeing where we're at. But yeah, I mean, we play an open style of soccer, so we do give up chances. I do think the way the games have played out early have led to maybe less goals for us and also less goals for the opponent. We put in some tough places to play. Western Illinois is a tough place to play. Even Southern Indiana is a little bit of a tough place to play. So we're definitely hoping to start scoring some more goals. But yeah, the shutouts. I mean, shutouts are something that are extremely important in all levels of soccer, especially in college. If you can keep the ball out of the back of the net, you're going to have success. That's been my joke when everyone's like, "Oh, how are you doing so well?" I'm like, well, if you give up a goal, it's really hard to lose. So we're doing all right.
No, absolutely. By the way, I did just confirm you did have 2 shutouts last season in total.
So there we go.
Already surpassed.
Broke the record. Yeah, all right.
So I know that Ryan has a question. I want to get this one question in here as well before he pops one in. Philosophically, the way that this world is in regards to college soccer, it's completely changed. Right? We've talked with coaches all across the spectrum. We've talked to Wake Forest's head coach and NC State's head coach and Damon Rensing over at Michigan State. We've had a great conversation about the dynamic right now that's at play in men's soccer and in college soccer as a whole.
Yeah.
And in your second year, what are you finding is right now with that new dynamic, with roster management, with the transfer portal? What are you finding as your biggest obstacle right now in that whole process?
That's a good question. I mean, I think the interesting thing about the current landscape of college soccer is more so where are we going? Are we a development league? Are we thinking of ourselves as we're trying to develop players to play professionally, or are we, as a whole, just trying to take 23, 24, 25-year-old European guys and enter them into the college landscape? And, I think that's probably the hardest. It's not hard for me because I know where I fall on that. But, as far as a long-term success and what you want to get out of your program, I mean, everybody wants to win. Everybody wants to have success. Everybody wants to, for us, it's that success in the Horizon League. How do we make that success outside of the Horizon League? Can we start to push into some of these? We're usually in the regional rankings, but can we start to make a push to make appearances in the national rankings and kind of be on the national scene? So that's kind of where we want to go. And it's just hard because it's an 18-year-old is going to struggle against a 24 or 25-year-old. It's just the reality. So I think college soccer as a whole has some decisions to make about where we are, where we want to go, and kind of what growth where we want to be in the development landscape and where we see ourselves fitting, as opposed to some of these, I love the success of Vermont, but, it's a bunch of 24, 25-year-olds, and older. I think they have 26-year-olds. So I don't know if that's what college soccer was created for.
No, actually, it's a great point, because I was just going to ask this question too, because as a follow-up is that, how does a Green Bay Phoenix, an Oakland University, a Cleveland State fight for a national championship, right? Because let's be honest, I mean, winning league titles and winning the Horizon League is great, but the ultimate goal is to get into the NCAA tournament and give yourself a chance to go further. We're seeing that with like Western Michigan, for example, which is not in a Power 5 conference, right? They're in a lower conference, and they've had success consistently over the last 5 years. How does a Green Bay Phoenix kind of fit themselves into that situation as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the hard part, right? When you start that, kind of what I was sort of posing in my sort of question or answer, whatever I just did, is do you want to lean into the, because you can go into D2, you can go into JUCO, you can go into NAI, you can go into the international market, and you can find 24, 25-year-olds. I mean, anybody can do it. You can get like an NAI guy who was old when he started, and he has maybe 1 year left, and he's older when he plays. And, I think for us, the hard part is, like, I'm very much a believer in college soccer being a development tool. And that typically means, the average age on our team is going to be, we're going to have 18 to 22-year-olds. Obviously, like, every once in a while, you get an older guy. We have a guy who's 24 who, like, has a red shirt and a COVID year. So he's just, like, technically in his 6th year, but he's an American kid. He's not, he didn't come over here for grad school after playing professional, semi-pro, or I want to say, I don't want to get myself in trouble. But yeah, I think that's like the hard push. And I spent some time at Georgetown. I mean, I feel like their success in the last few years has just been limited by the fact that they're running into teams that are older. It's not, they're still getting top domestic players. But, and I still talk to Brian, and that's sort of seems to be his takeaway. It's like, it's really hard to beat a team that's significantly older than you. And so for us, I don't want to do that. So yeah, I guess my answer is like, I don't know. Like, hopefully we get really good domestic guys that stay for 4 years, right? And they, and if they're a group of 8 or like we have now, we're an older group of 20, 21, 22-year-old 4-year college players. If you kind of hit it right and get those guys that are there for 4 years, then maybe you can make a little bit of a run. I can't hear right now.
Sorry, I have on mute. You're all good. That's
I was like, whoa.
The producer and the audio guy had his mic muted. That's not good.
We had technical
You
difficulties
should head
before.
out west is what you should do, Ryan.
Did my phone turn on? Did I open my AirPods? Like, what's going on?
No, you are all good. That is completely on me. But my question is you've been at Green Bay for about a decade or so as assistant, associate, and now head coach, and kind of in a day and age of, college sports, college athletics, even pro athletics. People kind of leave after 1 year, 2 years max. What kind of made you stay at Green Bay and climb the ranks, the ladder, the coaching ranks to eventually get to a head coaching gig at the same spot you were as an assistant coach 10 years prior?
Yeah, you want the soccer answer or like the life answer?
Oh, whichever one you want.
It's my ultimately like, so I moved here in 2015. I met my wife like 6 months after I moved here. So ultimately, like, when I came here, I thought this would be 2 to 3 year project. Jeremy Bonneman was a really good friend of mine. We grew up together. It was his first Division I head coaching job. He obviously knew we were taking over a program that had success, but had been through some tough couple of years. Actually, the crazy story here is Tom Poitras was Jeremy Bonneman's college head coach. He had a ton of success at Green Bay, like 2002 to 2010. Then after he left, it was just like up and down, and it wasn't anyone's fault. It was just coaches were not here for very long. And so it was a fun project for me to be involved in, kind of like knowing it's like, you're kind of completely rebuilding. But, we'd had conversations about before I moved here. I mean, I'd never even been to Wisconsin before I took this job. So, we said 2 to 3 years and then kind of move on. But yeah, I mean, life-wise, I met my wife here. We have a family here. Her family's here. There was a lot of like outside of soccer things that influenced my decision. And obviously, working with someone that you were friends with before you worked together was really fun. It was a fun project, even as an assistant. I felt, the growth was good. I enjoyed my time here, and my wife and I kind of talked about, would we want to bounce around? And obviously I could have done that if I wanted to. But we just kind of ultimately decided like, this is where we want to be. And I was willing to kind of put in the time and wait. Jeremy and I had a good enough relationship that we spoke a lot about that stuff. Like like I said, he's also an East Coast guy. So he ultimately had, and his wife is also from the East Coast. So he had ambition to get back to the East Coast, for a long time. So there was that, if he had said, I'm going to be here for the rest of my life, I might have had to make some different decisions, but that was kind of always hanging out there. And so that kind of allowed me to persevere and kind of stick with it.
Yeah, and then my last question for you is, I've been looking at the last couple of years of schedules, and this one thing pops out to me. What is Socktoberfest? You have it scheduled for October 25th against Wright State. Kind of want to go to it. Just if you can, if this is what I think it is.
Go to Creighton's. Don't go. I mean, ours is okay, but Creighton's is out of control. So basically, it's like, and if you follow Bayern Munich, like they do a big thing with Oktoberfest in soccer. There's a pretty heavy German influence in Green Bay. Maybe I don't know if it's Creighton or Xavier. It might be Xavier that does a crazy one. But so Jeremy spent some time at Cincinnati. He had learned about it. I think it might actually be Xavier. Now that I'm thinking about it, and it's just supposed to just be like a, German soccer style celebration. I mean, ours has been kind of up and down. One year we had a polka band, which was pretty funny. But it's just supposed to be like, beers in the parking lot, pretzels, stuff like that. And
that sounds fun.
A little fun and just kind of adding a little bit of fun to what otherwise would be like a regular home game.
That's awesome. I want to go to those. I still want to go.
Yeah, there's a few. We're not the only ones that do it, so don't act like we were the originator of Socktoberfest. But yeah, there's a few schools that do it, and a few schools that have grown it pretty well. I mean, ours, we're trying to get there, but I think it's a fun thing. Like, yeah, we have, like I said, the Green Bay area is like got a little bit of German, a little bit of Scandinavian influence. So kind of leaning into that Oktoberfest theme was a pretty easy thing for us to do.
And it's a great thing. Here, I don't know if you knew this or not, but here in Michigan, we have a great German town called Frankenmuth, where
I've heard of it.
They have the world's best chicken. Now, I mean,
and the biggest Christmas store of all time.
That is correct.
Yeah, it's a crazy Christmas town too, right?
Yeah, yes. Bronner's Winter Wonderland or Christmas Wonderland. Yeah, it's like
despite my last name, I'm actually technically like, my heritage is closer to the German side. My mom was German, my dad's Irish, but my mom's dad is from Germany. So like, we're like, and my Irish side, it's like, whatever, we came over how long time ago.
So, which is leading to, we have I have two last questions. The last one is probably the most difficult question you're going to be asked, probably of the day. But this first one is, if there was one word to describe this team, what would it be?
Oh man, I don't think I can do it in one word, but we're kind of like, I think what we like to consider ourselves is like, we're blue collar, we're hardworking, but we play a good style as well. So, we try to do a little bit of both where, we're a pressing team, but we're a building team, right? Possessions is extremely important to us. Having the ball is really important to us, but it's not like it's just some kind of like softer sided, pretty soccer is all we got. Like, we still value, getting in on tackles, winning 50-50 balls, scoring dirty goals, like stuff like that. That I think that's kind of like a good way to encapsulate our team.
Fantastic. You mentioned here a moment ago that you are maybe Irish and German. So
yes.
And so this next question is a food related question. I said it's the toughest one of the day. All right. Now, you guys go on these road trips. You're coming here to Detroit actually this weekend, and I got in the bus. You're gonna go back home. You're gonna go back to Green Bay. And I know that Green Bay and Wisconsin is known for its cheese, so I'm hoping that that's not going to be your answer here. But is there a place when you get off that bus, you're like, I got to go eat here? It could be your house, and you can have home cooked food. But we're looking to find out, where are you going as soon as you get off that bus to grab that meal?
I mean, I'll give you like two answers. Like, probably pre-kids, it would be, like Wisconsin has like a really fun kind of like bar culture. So there's a lot of places with really good like burgers and cheese curds and stuff like that. So I would say, Detroit, we're going to get back at like midnight. So either way, if I had kids or not, I'd probably be going home. But, let's just say it wasn't late. I'd probably, before kids, my wife and I would just go to one of our local kind of tavern spots, have a couple drinks and get some food. It depends. We've moved around a little bit, but initially there was a couple places we were downtown that we would frequent, and then we moved to another place. We had a really good restaurant when it closed down that we would go to, and now it's straight home. If the sun's still up, it's grabbing the two kids from my wife and giving her a break and eat whatever, maybe a little takeout from Culver's or I'm trying to think the other places that we like to order from. There's a couple good Indian places. So I would say now it's grab the kids, give my wife a break, and see what our options are in Grubhub.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, we appreciate you stopping by here this morning, John, and we obviously wish you and Green Bay Phoenix much success here. Obviously, you're currently 1-0 in the Rise League, 3-2 overall, on your way here to hopefully more success this season.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys.
You're very, very welcome. When we come back here on Inside the Game, we'll dive into what happened here yesterday in the U.S. Open Cup, as well as talk top 25 rankings here, both men's and women's, according to the United Soccer Coaches. We'll be right back.
Experience the thrill of the game like never before with NSN's Game Rewind. Dive into full match commentaries enhanced with cutting-edge dynamic graphics, letting you relive the highs and lows of your favorite matches in astonishing detail. Whether it's a championship win or a legendary play, NSN Game Rewind bridges the past and future with a broadcast experience designed to captivate. Call 586-304-4405 and start watching today.
Welcome back here to Inside the Game here on this Wednesday morning, the 17th day of September. And I'm Jonathan Turner. That is Ryan Glinsky. Nate Wangler is currently out west. And we will be hopefully back here tomorrow morning on the show. But again, congratulations to the Whitecaps on their championship victory here last night. I believe they won 3-1.
I have no idea.
Well, with that being said, though, hey,
Speaking of
what
3-1.
a great conversation we had here just a moment ago with John O'Reilly. We've got a lot of great coaches coming up here in the coming weeks. We've been Ryan has been on a turbocharge here these last couple of days, trying to get us some interviews with college coach. We are going after college coaches nationwide. We had a chance, obviously, already to have conversations with Wake Forest's head coach and NC State's head coach. Now, those two coaches, to put this in perspective, we talked to them both last week. At that time, they were ranked 5th and 4th, I believe, respectively. And now it's 1st and 2nd. So Bob Muss and Wake Forest, they are currently ranked number 1 in the nation. And Mark Hubbard and NC State are currently ranked number 2. And so we've had a chance to talk with both of those here this week and the last week. So if you want to watch those interviews, they are available on our YouTube channel or wherever you watch your on-demand content, with our YouTube or on our Roku TV channel. So that's really kind of a cool thing that we had a chance to do here last week.
Yeah, they're great conversations. Both of these coaches are Both of those coaches have great programs at the moment, and they're 1-2, and we did not expect that at all. It's kind of cool though to see that you talk to these coaches, and now they're 1-2 in the polls, and mind you, same conference as well. So the ACC is definitely a very, very good conference. But again, you just kind of picking the brains a little bit of these high level coaches, and you learn a little bit. Even though I have no reason to get into coaching at all, it's still like really good information to learn, and I could still translate it to an on-air broadcast. So it always helps out in some sort of way. You just kind of got to listen for it.
No doubt. What happened last night in that U.S. Open Cup game between Nashville SC and Philadelphia Union? Who won? Nashville did 3-1. Now, I just want to make a point here. Now, I did say they were going to win last night in extra time, 3-2 or 2-1, I believe is what I actually said. That did not happen, Nashville. They still won, though. So my prediction still holds true. Ryan did pick Philadelphia to win that game last night. He actually, I think, picked to win it. It was 2-1, I think, is what you picked him to do, didn't you?
I have no idea. I had Philadelphia kind of winning it all, though.
Yep, yeah. Well, either way, did not. Where's my? Where is it, man? Give it to me. That's just not right. I got it right. You didn't, and this is it, man. This is how we shake things up. Okay, fair enough.
But when you have the buttons an arm length away, then you're about 5 feet away from it. But touching up a little bit on this game between Philadelphia and Nashville, Nashville didn't really do anything crazy in terms of tactically or their goals at all. It was Philadelphia could not defend the second ball. So I believe 2 of the 3 goals were, one of them was a throw-in that was treated like a corner, and then another one was a cross-in, and Sam Surridge, hat-trick. Unbelievable performance from him. He could have had a 4th one if there wasn't an offside, but Philadelphia did not defend the second ball well at all. It was just a flick on from another Nashville player, and Surridge was there to just tap it home as, Billy Gilmore would say, just tap it in. And that's all they did.
Billy Gilmore?
Happy Gilmore.
No,
I said Happy Madison. I said Happy Madison.
No, you said Billy Gilmore, my guy.
No, I did say
Roll the tape.
I did say Happy Madison. I said Happy Madison, which again is still wrong. But I think that is actually the name of his production company. But no, it just they tapped it in. I can't think of it. What I was going to say, but they just didn't handle the second ball well. Philadelphia had a couple of chances, but they were shot right at the goalkeeper. And Philadelphia, they still have everything still in front of them as they're still top I believe it's the Eastern Conference standing. So Philadelphia they've already clinched a playoff spot, so they still got an opportunity here. But Nashville, we said that between these 4 teams, there is a team that is going to lift the Open Cup for the first time, and Nashville. They already booked their ticket to the game, and Minnesota and Austin play here tonight.
That they do. That game does kick off here tonight at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. And, we're going to give you our predictions here a little bit later in the show. But I do want to just, again, remind everybody that I did pick the correct winner here.
I do. When we were doing the USL Championship and USL 2 Championship.
Yes.
My first ever prediction. I got the score right and the team right.
I do remember.
And that was on whatever cable company in Vermont. So they all know that was right. So yeah. I got the score right too. There's a difference between just guessing the team right. I got the score right.
Yeah, I know. We know. Let's dive in here to some college rankings. We'll dive into the men's side here first. Some shifting and some moving here this week. Wake Forest right there at the top. They are 4-0-2, and right below them is NC State at 5-0-1, Stanford at 3, Portland at 4, Indiana at 5, Marshall at 6, St. Louis at 7, Michigan is at 8. And again, you just
the bottom 5 are cut off. There you go.
There we go. That's what happens when you put them inside that thing. But yeah, I mean the rankings are out. We see this every week now. We're seeing these how these teams are moving and shaking in these rankings. And so Again, when we talk about the men's side, though, we saw something really cool happen this weekend. Indiana losing to Michigan 3-2.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we did see that, absolutely. Palmer Alt missed the PK in the 90th minute or 89th minute. Don't know the exact minute, but late in the game. And in Michigan, they were down 1-0 early in that game, scored 3 unanswered goals. Indiana pulls one back a little bit later in the game and then missed the PK. But, Indiana, they're a good side. It's just one game. And I know a lot of these programs, towards the top 10 or whatever. Also, shout out Akron. Shout out the former MAC. Akron is in the 10 spot as well. They're always a good side to come up against every single year. But, it always feels like, kind of looking in professional sports and even collegiate sports is that, it's great to be ranked or it's great to be a high seed early in the season or the middle of the season or even when you get into playoffs. But these coaches want to make their money in the tournament. They want to make their money in the playoffs. They want to ultimately win a national championship. So these coaches are kind of looking at it. They're like, oh, that's cool. We're in the top 10. We're in the top 25. Like, that's sweet and all. But, they're just trying to ultimately, at the end of the day, win a national championship. And there's only going to be one of them. And Vermont currently sitting at 9th, the reigning champion. But, these rankings are going to constantly change week after week. And usually when it comes to college athletics, that, after a couple of weeks, you kind of just see the same 20 out of 25 teams in the top 25 for the rest of the year. But, again, conference play is heating up as well. So some of these teams that are in the same conference, we're going to have really, really good games.
So taking a look at the risers and the surprise entries here this week, St. Louis again, number 7. They soared from number 24 last week after a 3-1-2 start. Michigan coming in unranked. They were now number 8. They cracked the top 10 after being unranked last week. Again, they remain undefeated at 4-0-2. Furman, number 15, another previously unranked team making a splash after a 4-0-3 run. And then Georgia Southern, number 25, enters the rankings for the first time this season with a 5-0-1 record. Notable drops in this one. Louisville, number 12, and Clemson, number 14th, both dropped following tough weeks, with Clemson slipping 12 spots from number 2 after back-to-back draws. Akron, number 10, dipped slightly after its first loss of the season. Gardner-Webb, number 18, fell 11 spots despite still boosting a strong 5-1-0 record. Teams that are in and out, again, Michigan, Furman, San Diego, Georgia Southern. Dropped out is Seattle, U, Denver, Loyola, Marymount, and UCF. So there are your top 25 for the men's side here for week number 4 in this college season. Let's take a look here now at the women's side as we dive into them. And here they are. Number 1 ranked now in the country is Virginia. Virginia at 7-0-1. Again, they climbed up the rankings. This is obviously their best so far this season. Stanford, which was, again, number 1, is now number 2 at 7-1-1. Duke, 6-1-1. UCLA, 5-2-0. Tennessee, 6-1-1. Notre Dame is 6-0-1. Florida State is 6-0-1 at 7. Penn State, 5-2-1 at 8. Memphis is 9 at 7-0-1. And BYU is at 10.
Yeah, and there's one surprising team that I don't see coming out of the Big Ten is, where is USC? They were them and UCLA were the top 2 teams projected in the Big Ten Conference for the women's side, and I don't even see I'm not missing anything, right? Like, USC's not in the top 25, right?
I do not see them in the top 25.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a shocker because they had a couple of really good players, some really good conference in the Big Ten projections, or for like they're all Big Ten team. But that's a little bit shocker to not see USC and their UCLA. I almost didn't see for a second, but they're sitting high and pretty at number 4. But again, these rankings are going to continue to change, and we're going to have some really good matchups, especially with in conference play. Penn State, UCLA, that'll be a really good one. There's a handful of Big Ten teams in there as well. I believe I saw an Ohio State and Iowa in there. But yeah, it's going to continue to start heating up, and we're going to see some big time matchups, and that's what you want to see at the end of the day before the playoffs start, is these big time matchups.
That you do, as a couple. USC was obviously in the top 25 here last week. They dropped out of the top 25 this week. Wisconsin also off the list this week, and Colorado State lost its place in the rankings as well. So Again, Mississippi State, by the way, new to the top 25. They're entering at number 12. Xavier is new entry at number 23, and Rice is new to the rankings, coming in at number 25. We talk about this all the time about these rankings. We've asked coaches. I asked Mark Hubbard what his thoughts about being ranked number in the highest they've ever been in the United Soccer Coaches, and he even said that it's we don't really necessarily pay attention to it to the way that maybe we as the pundits and as fans of the game would. It's no different than the high school environment where you're getting ranked teams. And what does it mean? Well, at the end of the day, it means nothing because the last team that's holding a trophy, the last day of the season, the one holding that trophy, that college cup, that's all that matters. And whether you're ranked or not doesn't mean a whole lot. We saw it last year with the women's side, University of North Carolina, right? They were not a ranked team. Well, they were ranked in the nation, but that team did not finish first in the ACC. They struggled through, and they did not win the ACC tournament, but they found a way to bring it all together and win a national championship here last fall. So, in Vermont, another team, right? Like, think about that. So, a lot of really cool and exciting things happening there. The one thing I would say is Vermont is not on the men's side, have not found. They were, again, preseason number 1. And week 1, they were number 1 ranked in the nation. And they have made their way down. They are currently ranked 9th. In the country right now. So, and their record right now at 9 is 4-0-3. So, this is a team that is still has a lot to do, but still has some success ahead of them.
Yeah, and again, that's the only thing that matters at the end of the day is hanging banners, winning trophies, whether that's your conference, your conference tournament, or a national championship. Obviously, every coach will say it's got to be that national championship. For some smaller schools, it might also be the conference tournament because that's what gets you into the NCAA tournament. But, for these bigger schools that, we're seeing a majority of the Power 4 schools in these top 25 men and women's is their main goal is a national championship. And then that's what they want is, that's the big prize. And, regardless of your ranking, like, let's just take NCAA basketball for a switch here. How many times have we seen double-digit seeds make a little bit of a run, make it to a Sweet 16, make it to an Elite 8? It happens more often than you think, and you kind of got to get hot at the right time. And soccer is a weird sport where just because you're the better team, you can dominate possession, you can dominate chances. But if there's a day where you just can't break down a backline, can't get past a goalkeeper, and you give up one goal, that could be very dangerous for you, and it could be a long day, and you could go home super early. I've benefited from that, and I've also failed because of that as well. Like, we're a better team and we still lose, and we're the worst team and we still win. Soccer is just that weird sport where anything can happen. I know it's a little bit of a cliche about sports. Well, anything can happen in any sport, but soccer more specifically, that happens more often than you think.
It does. When we come back here from our next commercial break, we're going to dive into a topic that's near and dear to me. When we come back here, we'll get into that. Don't go anywhere. Episode number 160 is coming, still underway here on the National Soccer Network.
Are you ready to create unforgettable moments for your audience? NSN offers professional live streaming and full broadcast services tailored to your needs. From high-quality production to exceptional coverage, we ensure your game or event becomes a spectacle to remember. Book your next game with us today. Call 586-304-4405 to schedule your broadcast and let NSN bring the action to life like never before.
Welcome back here to Inside the Game, number 160. I'm Jonathan Turner. That is Ryan Glinsky. coming back from his out west trip. Nate Wayne will be back with us by tomorrow morning. I'm hoping.
I did travel west to get here, so I mean, I am technically out west if we're being from home. So,
well, I'm heading down south to Madison Heights here after this. Oh boy, maybe Nate's watching. Who knows? But anyways, here's something that I want to get into real quick. I know we have some comments. We're gonna get some mailbag questions here. We have a lot going on all of our social media. We're live on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram, and
follow all of them.
Yeah, everywhere. Follow them everywhere. So last night I had a chance to walk the halls at Warren Mott High School. This is where I really
thought this was going to be a Nathan story about buying Clash Royale stuff.
No. We had 2 open houses, so we had a divide and conquer last night. My wife Bianca went with my daughter for the first couple hours. So the way the open houses work at the high school level is you literally go from class to class.
They still do that?
Spend 10 minutes talking with, the teacher talks and whatever. Anyways, our first class yesterday for my son was an empty class. It was me and my son Nathan, and then there was one other couple in there. This is clearly, he has 28 kids that are in his class, but they didn't make it the first hour. Probably like a lot of kids don't make it the first hour, right?
No,
I mean,
that's the most, that hour and the hour after lunch, that is the hours where no one makes it on time. Just how it works.
So we're going class to class, and I'm going to dive into the reason why something I feel passionate about, and I want to put this out to the world here this morning. But we were walking, and my daughter goes to something called CPC. So for the last 2 hours of the day, she's not actually at Mott. She's somewhere else. And going and doing technical work and technical trade work in her career path that she wants to possibly go down one day. And so she does that. Nathan has gym class for his lab. So anyways, with that being said, we were walking during the time in which it was allotted for you to be in a room with the class, be with your teacher. So I felt a little uneasy about walking the school, while your basic classes are going on. That's the kind, it's like almost like you're like tardy, or it brings back to the days where you're like walking the halls during class, and you're maybe not in class. So a little reminiscence. It's been almost 25 years since it's 25 years this year that I graduated from high school. So so a little reminiscence there. But anyways, here's what I'm passionate about. I want to dive into this real quick. So this teacher last night, my son's first hour teacher, is a first year teacher, and he's staying there in front of us. And you could tell that this was his first ever open house.
He's nervous.
I wouldn't say nervous, because he has no problem talking in front of. You can tell he has no problem talking, but you could just tell that this was his first time. I went to another teacher who's clearly been doing this for, I don't know, probably 20 years.
Damn.
And like the night and day, the difference between how the two of them handled themselves. One was kind of like the second teacher that I interacted with. Obviously experienced, but you could almost tell, like, she's doing this because she has to, but whatever. And the other teachers, he's really excited, but doesn't necessarily know how to really kind of, I think, convey his class message, And I asked him, I go, do they like teach this to you in college at like teachers, do they? No. Like, no. So it's like your whole job. I mean, I understand you have to know the application. You have to understand math. If you're a math teacher, you have to know math. Okay, I know that. Okay,
you think?
But if you're going to become a teacher, aren't they supposed to be teaching you on how to teach and how to handle yourself as a teacher? Isn't that the whole purpose of going to school? I mean, you've got your education, right? You got to go get your education. You got to get your math degree, but then you have to go to, secondary education. You have to literally go to college for that. Aren't they teaching how to handle a classroom environment? Isn't that like part of like the process?
Yeah, it's definitely a part of the process, but I don't think that they have a week where they're like, let's handle how an open house is. I think that's also a part of your student teaching, is you kind of like intern, like job shadow a teacher, and I think you have to look at those things. I mean, I don't really think it's, especially at the high school level, because no one goes to open houses, parent-wise, that is. Like, I remember my parents went to one my freshman year, and they're like, yeah, we're not going back. Like, there's no one in there. Like, so I don't think it's that, it's more of the open houses, I think, are a little bit more important for elementary school kids, because that's the same teacher that you have for the whole year.
Well, I mean, they have 2 open houses because of the semester changes, and so there again, I'm not I'm not unaware of the fact that there are people who think it takes this seriously and those that don't. I'm aware of that. But your whole job as a teacher is to be in front of a room and be able to convey in a very a way that the students will understand and comprehend what you're saying. And at the same time, you also, in today's world, you have to communicate with parents. Like, you have to communicate with them. I mean, I'm sorry, but 30 years ago or 50 years ago, dads, not say they didn't care, but mom would probably handle all that. Dad was just like, just don't get killed. Don't think stupid.
Don't get suspended.
I mean, how many stories have you heard of like your father's father whose dad had no idea who your teachers were, right? Because they weren't involved in that, right? But in today's world, parents are all. I mean, that's not all parents, but parents are very involved in their kids' lives, at least to an extent, and you would think that they would be teaching that in school. And so my thing is this: we just talked to Green Bay Phoenix head coach John O'Reilly. There are kids right now who are going to school to become teachers. You should be doing everything you can to make yourself extremely comfortable to have those kind of conversations with parents as often as you possibly can, because that is a huge factor of what you do. And if you can't communicate that properly, that's probably not a good thing. Anyways, that was my thoughts. I am passionate about being able, like, preparing people like life skills. Like, you're a teacher. Your job is to stand in front of a classroom and to teach and to help students understand. And your job is to communicate with parents on how their child can get the help and necessary resources to be educated in a way that helps them become better prepared for what's coming next. If you can't do one of those two things, you aren't going to be a good teacher. And yes, it might come with experience. I get that, but I just feel like that's something they should be arming teachers with when they walk into a school for the first time. That's all. With that being said, we have some mailbag questions, like comments. I know that we yesterday you had a great short about Tim Weah on our social media, and I know we have some comments or questions that came from that.
Yeah, let's get into the mailbag. Of course, if you're not following us here on TikTok, make sure you do that. And National Soccer Network. Excuse me, I got it wrong there. But yeah, Tim Weah yesterday scored a goal, and I said silences the Bernabeu, Real Madrid, which he did do. It was the first goal of the game, and I was just talking about it's great to see as an American fan, and people took it the wrong way. And it's great for us because, it engages the viewers and it gets more views and likes. And gained a couple of followers out of it. So we like this. This one is from Brother of Prime Rib. Americans dominating in a club setting in Europe. Laughing emoji. No. Dominate is a long ways away. He scored. Big deal. Not dominating. And this is what the majority of the comments saying. I mean, I don't think an American has ever scored at the Bernabeu. I know Pulisic did it in the COVID year when they were renovating the Bernabeu, and he did it at the training ground in the Champions League. But I still think that's a big deal. I think scoring in a setting like that at Real Madrid is a big deal. John, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, they ultimately lost the game, but Weah scoring a goal in front of millions and in one of the biggest, if not the biggest, soccer venue in the world, you got that. That's pretty sweet. That's awesome.
Well, I mean, I think scoring a goal is great, and
in the Champions League, mind you.
And I again, your results matter. Stats, they state, especially when we're talking about what's going on here for the World Cup. I think it matters. Do I think that it's remarkable or something that's above and beyond? No, I don't think so. I mean, his job is to go out there and win soccer games and help his team, and so he did that yesterday, but they lost, right? But I don't know if I put a lot of again. I said before, I don't know if I put a lot of stake in what they do across the pond. I think it helps them with confidence. I think it helps with a lot of things, but it has to translate back to the U.S. men's national team. And I'll give you a perfect example of this. When I was playing, I remember this very vividly. I was a freshman in high school, and I played my first year at high school as a JV goalkeeper. I beat out a junior goalkeeper, and I was a starter for that team. And I remember we had a very successful season. And I remember my first game back with my club team. The level of confidence that I had from playing against sophomores and juniors helped me so much when I got back to my club environment where I was just playing with my age group again. That confidence was huge. And so what's happening across the pond, you're hoping that players like Tim Weah and Balogun and Pulisic, right, and all these players who are phenomenal, that when they come back from playing in that environment, they have a new level of confidence, a new level of positivity, creativity that they gain from there, and that helps them, on their path to the U.S. men's national team. So that's our hope. Will it translate? Time will tell.
Yeah, I just think it's a good feature. Of course, Champions League play started up yesterday. And then this one says, this one is from Dams513. There's a couple of good Gio Reyna ones that I want to save for tomorrow or even Friday. So we'll just stick with this one with time winding down. From Dams513, he wasn't even that good. Other than the goal, he didn't contribute much during the game. And the goal was just a solid shot after Mason Greenwood did all the work to bring the ball in. Sure, it's nice he scored, but it's not really a reason to celebrate. I honestly think that, Americans scoring in the Champions League, I think that's a big thing because first off, they need to be out in the field as well. And, Pepe played yesterday, Serginho Dest played yesterday, and Chris Richards played for Crystal Palace. He even scored a goal for whatever European competition Crystal Palace is in. But, this is where we need our Americans to be at. If I know, again, it doesn't quite translate to the men's national team, but, if we're a nation that is, trying to be serious to really compete with the rest of the world, our players need to be in these environments. I mean, it doesn't necessarily translate to success on the field. Look at England, for crying out loud. They have all the talent in the world and they don't win anything. But we want our players to experience that. We want these, because when you're playing in a World Cup setting, that's the highest level of soccer that you're going to see. And the Champions League is the second closest thing to it. And if we can, maybe prepare that like as a mentality aspect, prepare that for, environments that they're going to be in, heck yeah, I want them doing that. And the fact that he scored a goal, I think, as well. Richard scored a goal yesterday, I believe, in the Conference League. So I think we should just, wow, that's awesome. Tim Weah scored a goal. It's not like, oh my gosh, give us the World Cup while we're at it. But no, I think it's a great thing for not only Tim Weah and his confidence, but put the USA, know that their players, maybe get the American players respected a little bit more over in Europe.
Yeah, my comment's the same. Again, to players scoring over there, it's great, and I think it helps build confidence. But again, it's got to correlate here, and so far it hasn't.
Yeah. All right, let's get into question of the day. This is an MLS question, but before we do that, Salt Athletic, an official sponsor of us here at the National Soccer Network. Save 15% off by using promo code NSN15. Scan that QR code on your screen or visit saltathletic.com today. But question of the day, similar to yesterday's. Who will win tonight in the other semifinal of the U.S. Open Cup, the Minnesota United or Austin FC?
I'm going to let you take this one first, my guy.
So yesterday, you know how I said that the Minnesota United fans got mad at me for not including them into the MLS recap? Well, I did a video for them yesterday, and it did. They commented really well. They were really appreciative of it. And they really liked it, and they were talking a little bit about how they're feeling. They said they're nervous because Minnesota tends to underperform in big games, and that is for any means professional team from Minnesota. But this is their year. So the fans know that Minnesota doesn't perform. I think they're the longest city drought in all of professional sports to not win a championship. I believe their last championship was since the 60s.
This is Minnesota?
Yeah, Minnesota. Minneapolis has not won anything. Vikings, Wild.
The Timberwolves.
Timberwolves never won it. I don't think Timberwolves have a championship.
I thought they did, my guy.
No, I don't think the Timberwolves have a championship.
I thought NBA. I could have.
What's that?
That would be your phone, I think.
That's not my phone.
It's not. I don't know whose phone that is. It's not mine.
That's weird. We heard that for a second time today. Yeah, no, the Timberwolves have no championships.
I thought they have won one. My bad. All right,
no, but no. So.
Oh, it's the Dallas Mavericks. I'm saying maybe. Okay, my bad.
Minnesota and Dallas. That's really close. That's really down south. But no, I am really appreciative of the Minnesota United fans. So I'm gonna say Minnesota. They also gave me a new slang term to use: COYL. Come on, you loons. Come on, Minnesota United. Get the victory. I'm going to say 2-0, Minnesota United.
You done?
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. So, yeah, I share a very similar sentiment as you as well in regards to this matchup. Again, we talked about how they got here. They beat Chicago Fire 3-1 in the quarterfinals with an extra time brace from Calvin Yeboah. Austin advanced their first ever semifinal by defeating San Jose Earthquakes via penalties after a 2-2 draw. So both these teams have been to extra time before, one going into a penalty shootout. And you start talking about history and start talking about some of that fire. We just saw a 50-yard goal, I believe, from Minnesota United here just this past weekend as part of that 57 record tying weekend for most goals in an MLS weekend. With that being said, prediction-wise, I believe Minnesota United is going to win this game tonight over Austin FC in extra time.
Oh, extra time again.
And I'm going to go here. It's going to be in penalties. It'll be a 1-1 draw. Minnesota claims it in penalties.
Someone in the chat, Jack, the TikTok live chat said, I just watched the Minnesota United apology video, and it's always clear when someone hasn't been watching. I mean, I just gave you guys a whole bunch of credit. I said you guys just beat the #1 team in your conference, San Diego, and he says it's also the Ramsey-era Loons. I'm picking you guys to win. I gave you a video yesterday. What more do you guys want from me?
The Ramsey-era Loons. Where's the other comment? Is in that comment I'm missing it?
It's just above it. It says, I just watched the Minnesota United apology video, and it's always clear when someone hasn't been watching. I mean, you guys just won a game. Like, it doesn't matter what I have to say.
I think that, a couple, seen some comments coming through the last couple of days, which I think are great, by the way, so keep them coming. I'm very appreciative of the comments. I think they're great.
Yeah.
At the same time, there are 30 MLS teams. There are 30 USL Championship teams. There's 1,000 college teams. There's 140 USL2 teams.
We have a lot on our plate.
90 USLW teams, 400 UPSL teams, 30 MWPL teams.
And the hockey leagues that we have to do.
And the hockey league. So it's a chance that we're not going to catch every game. but what I would say is that we do our best. And Ryan here works his tail off to do this.
So Mech Jack's still in the chat. I appreciate you, by the way. We love all the comments. He says, oh, for sure. I wasn't saying you need to apologize again. Just makes me laugh when ... when possession is brought up like we're worried about it. What I said was I was just naming the stats, and they outshot you, and they had more possession of you. Like, if you listen to the show, I don't know when I said about it, and I said soccer's a weird sport. You can dominate a game, dominate the shots, but you can ultimately still lose the game. I was just naming off stats. No, I did not watch the game. I was just naming off stats, and that's what I did. I named off stats for you. I gave you a video. And I gave you credit, and I said, you guys took your chances, and you scored your goals, and you won, what was it, like 2-0, 2-1, something like that? These Minnesota fans, that's literally every game where the opponent dominates possession. It's the plan.
I will say this much, is
God,
that
Jack, come on.
We've talked about this because Minnesota does have really cool fans. Minnesota Aurora has a fantastic fan base. Minnesota United, same thing. I mean, so you've got really good fan base. I would argue that a lot of these teams have fantastic fan bases, and so which is great. But hey, at the end of the day, you're playing for a chance to punch a ticket into a final tonight, and got to go out and do that. And both of us just picked you.
Yeah.
Not because of these comments, but because we actually believe
if you guys. If you guys lose, I'm making a video right after the game, and I'm like, Austin FC is the greatest team of all time. Minnesota doesn't win stuff, but no.
Wait. He says that's literally every game where the opponent dominates possession. Well, I mean, if you're saying in your environment, I mean, again, game plans are game plans, and traditionally, teams don't try to. If they're a top tier team, they don't try to let teams have outpossess them. You typically do that if you are a weaker team who is trying to counter. And I would say most teams don't have a lot of success doing that in the long term. It is a great short term plan for sure.
Yeah, TikTok makes no sense. We just logged out because due to inactivity. We were just having a good conversation, so I just restarted live. Hopefully, Mex Jack comes back into the live, maybe has a couple of comments after the fact.
Either way, we're gonna wrap up this show. We appreciate you stopping on by here on this Wednesday. We'll be back at it again tomorrow here, same time, same place. Hopefully, we'll We'll have Nate Wangler back as well, joining us back here on the show. But either way, that's Ryan Glinsky. I'm Jonathan Turner. Thanks for stopping by. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, and we'll see you here tomorrow morning, same time, same place. From the biggest matches to the hottest takes, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wangler bring you the stories, the analysis, and the edge you won't get anywhere else. Streaming live weekdays at 9 a.m. on YouTube, Roku TV, Facebook, Twitter, and all major platforms. No filters, no fluff, just real talk, real soccer. This is Inside the Game.